Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are going to learn about CBSE NCERT Class 10 Geography Chapter 1. So basically, the resources and the development. The resources are nothing but which is the something which can be used to satisfy our need. Is the technologically feasible, technologically accessible, economically feasible, and the culturally acceptable. So this term is considered as the resource. The resource is anything. It may be the coal, it may be the trees, whatever the living thing on the nature. So by using those things, we can make some useful thing. We can convert it as per our use. Such a thing is called as a resources. Resources are directly proportional with the development. If we have the resources, then there is a chance of the development is there. So today in India, as we saw that there are so many types of the resources we have. We have the coal reserve, we have the manganese, we have the steel, we have the fossil fuels, we have the natural gas as well as the oil reserve. Some amount of the oil reserves are there. And the main thing is that we have the enough amount of the land, means straight land by which we can use to make so many crops. Farmers live their life on the basis of their lands, so those things are very important. So as we saw that in the in this diagram, it is a triangle having the three main parts: the physical environment, that is the nature, then the second one, that is the technology, and the third one, that is the institution. And the human being interact with the three parts of that thing. Okay, the process of the transformation of the thing available in our environment involves and the interactive relationship between the nature, technology, and the institution. Human beings are interact with nature through technology, and they create the institution to accelerate their economic development. Today, what happen is that the whatever the things we know there is a gold reserve or the coal reserve. So by using the technology, like the drilling machines are there, excavators are there. By using those things, we carried out, we find out the coal or whatever the gold we have, and by obtaining this reserve, we can make some institutions on which our economic development is there, and whatever the overall country's development by using these the reserves. Okay, so these all about. So okay, do you think that the resources are the free gift of nature as is assumed by many? They are not. The resources are the function of the human activities. Human beings themselves are the essential component of the resources. They transform the material available in our environment into the resources and they use them. So those resources can be the classified in the following basis. On the basis of the origin. So it may be the biotic or the abiotic. Biotic is nothing but it is the living being like the human beings, animals, plants. So they have some, and they have part of the biosphere, and the abiotic is nothing but it is the thing in available in our biosphere, but they are not living. So that is called we called as a abiotic. On the basis of the exhaustibility, means those reserves are the exhaustible or not. For example, the renewable. So the renewable resource are nothing but we can generate it again and again, even by using it, like the solar energy, wind energy. In non-renewable, like the fossil fuels, the coal is there, or the whatever the things we can't make it again after using it. Then the third part is that is the on the basis of the ownership. It may be the individual reserve, community there, national there, and the international is also there. So the individual is nothing but it's a private property. You have their individual right to using such a reserve. And in the case of the community, for example, we are the live in the society, so there is a park in the society that is called as the community resource reserves. Then the national is nothing but it is whatever the thing we in our country we have. For example, the whatever the resource, it may be the coal, it may be the government of our country, and that particular country have the right to use, and property of that particular country is that, and the land is there, forest is there, whatever the resources, the ownership of this the resource is the going to our country, going to the national. And the international ownership is nothing but it is the some treaties are there. So this is the open land. So after certain distance of the distance from our sea, that is 12 nautical miles from the sea coast from any country, and this the free sea is the international ownership is there. Okay. Now we are going to the fourth part on the basis of the reserve, on the basis of the status of the development. So basically the potential. So whenever we heard about the potential, means the potential is nothing but have their the reserve, but because of the lack of their financial support, so they can't use it right now. Okay. So we heard about the news. So we have such type of the potential. We have the uh, such type of the environment for that particular reserve, like the Gujarat state and the Rajasthan state, having the good environment for the wind energy and the solar energy, but the lack of their financial support, they can't utilize such energies on the basis of. Then the second one, that is the developed. So basically, the developed is nothing but the developed resources. Such resources we can carry it out by surveys. What are the quality of that reserve there? What are the quantity amount in which amount they are the reserve they have? It may be the coal is there, petrol there, iron. So these are comes in the developed. Now the stocks. We have the good amount of the um, hydrogen. So but we can't separate this hydrogen and oxygen for the welfare. So that is the stock. They are just present in huge amount. Now the reserved. Reserves is nothing but we are the protected for the future use. We are not use right now. For example, whatever the things we have right now, but we planned it for the future. If the after certain time it will be the flourished out, so that time we have some future plan, so that is called as the reserves. So these types of the reserves resources are the classified. So there is a, if we saw that the resources are distributed in the natural and the human. In the human, the structure and institutions are there, and the quantity and quality is there. So in the natural, there is the renewable and the non-renewable. The renewable, that is the continuous or a flow, again developed is there, wind, water. In biological, we are the natural and the wildlife. Natural, that is the vegetations. The forest, that is the biological. In non-renewable, that is the recyclable, like the metals or biodegradable products. In the non-recyclable, that is the fossil fuel. So now we saw that there is a development of the resources how the resources are developed. The resources are the vital for the human survival as well as for the maintaining the quality of the life. It was the belief that the resources are the free gift of the nature. As a result, the human being use them indiscriminately means, and this has the lead to the following under major problem. So most of the people, by their greed, they are exploiting these resources. So by exploiting the nature, we we are not making any plan to carry out these the resources at a particular amount. So by overuse or by the greedy nature, we we carrying such a resources, use it now. So by which some problems are occur. So due to this, the depletion of the resources for the satisfying, yes, the greed or the few individual industrialists, the accumulation of the resources in the few hands, which in turn divided the society into the two segments, obviously. So the two societies in the society, the two level peoples are there. So that is the some people, some industrialists become the rich, and the remaining others are going to the poverty level. So indiscriminate exploitation of the resources has led to the global ecological crisis such as the global warming, as we saw that today. So not other countries are making their the carbon policy, they are not aware about it, they are just using it blindly for their the financial profit and so many things. So due to this, the global warming, ozone layer depletion is there, the environmental pollution is there, and the land degradation is also there. So for this purpose, some international communities are come out and think about it. So for such a global warming, such a huge issues, for solving such issues, the one of the way they can achieve it by the sustainable development. So this development is nothing but the sustainable economic development means the development should take place without damaging the environment, and the development is present should be the compromise with the needs of the future generation. So such type of the rules and the regulations are made at the international level, by which the future generation should should live their life happily, and the lifespan of the on the earth is going to the higher level. So we have to make such a sustainable development. So that's why there are so many countries, they are making the carbon policy means they are make a plan at the certain time we are trying to minimize it or the cut down totally the carbon. Then the another one summit is there, that is the Rio de Janeiro, which is the located in the Brazil, and that is in South America. This summit happened in 1992. So in June 1992, more than the 11 heads of the state met in the Rio de Janeiro in Brazil for the first International Earth Summit. The summit was the convey for the addressing the urgent problems of the economic, environmental protection, and the socio-economic development at the global level. The assembled leaders signed the Declaration of the Global Climatic Change and the Biological Diversity. It is also called as the Rio Convention, endorsed the Global Forest Principle, and adopted the Agenda 21 for the achieving the sustainable development in 21st century. Now, what is the Agenda 21? Agenda 21 is nothing but it is the declaration signed by the world leader in 1992 at the United Nations Conference on the Environment and the Development, which took place at the Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Main aim is achieving the global sustainable development. It is the agenda to combat the environmental damage, poverty, disease through the global cooperation on the common interest, mutual needs, and shared the responsibilities. One major objective of the Agenda 21 is that The every local government should draw its own local Agenda 21. So this is the all about is that now the resource planning is there. So basically for carrying out such resources, we have the certain plan. Okay, the planning is widely accepted a strategy for judicious use of the resources. It has the importance in our country like India, which has the enormous diversity in the availability of the resources. There are the regions which are rich in certain type of the resources but are the deficient in some other resources. These are the regions which can be considered the self-sufficient in terms of the availability of the resources, and there are some regions which have the acute shortage of the some vital resources. For example, the states of the Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh and the Madhya Pradesh are rich in the minerals and the coal deposit obviously. Arunachal Pradesh has the abundance of the water resource but lack of the infrastructural development. So the land of the Arunachal Pradesh is not a equal, is not a flat, it is the hilly areas. So because of this, the infrastructure development is not much like these central portion states. But yes, the state of the Rajasthan is very well endowed with the solar and the wind energy, but lacks in the water resources. The cold desert of the Ladakh is the relatively isolated from the rest of the country. It has the very rich cultural heritage, but it is the deficient in water, infrastructure, and the some vital minerals. This call for the balanced resource planning at the national, state, regional, and the local level. So for this purpose, we have the different region in our country. So the some state have such type of the resources. Some state have the stocks. Some state have some such type of the deficiency or the requirement. So for that purpose, whatever the resources we have, it should be the distributed throughout the country. It should be get to the throughout all the states of in India. So this is uh, we next portion we saw in the further class.